Not so long ago, Chelsea were bought for £1 as the club was on the verge of bankruptcy. That's less than $1.50. The Blues were almost relegated to the 3rd division and lost their own stadium. Now, they're club world champions. What the heaven happened to Chelsea Football Club? A can of Coke, a bag of chips, a lottery ticket. These are all things you can buy in England for £1. In 1982, Ken Bates took £1 from his pocket and bought Chelsea Football Club. Now, if you think that's a bargain, that's because you don't know about the crippling debt the Blues had. The club was over $2 million in the red, a huge amount at the time. At the time, Chelsea wanted to modernize Stamford Bridge. They faced problem after problem, and soon the costs were sinking the club. The crippling debt transferred onto the pitch. During the 70s, Chelsea were relegated to the 2nd division, then promoted and relegated again. It became a yo-yo club with all their ups and downs. Imagine the stories of Sunderland, Bolton, Blackburn, or Derby County happening to Chelsea. Despite the crippling debt, Bates bought the club and tasked himself with keeping Chelsea alive. In his first season ever, the club almost dropped to the 3rd division, but things took a turn for the better. To some, the businessman is a savior. To others, he contributed to Chelsea's downfall. The Pride of London has constant issues with their hooligans, and Bates' solution was to erect an electric fence between them and the pitch. It was never turned on and soon dismantled, but the decision was bizarre nonetheless. However, Bates was the man that won the legal battle, meaning the ownership of Stamford Bridge was once again in the hands of the club. He also brought in international talent and appointed Ruud Gullit as their player-manager in 1996, and then appointed Gianluca Vialli. Chelsea won the League Cup, the UEFA Winners' Cup, and FA Cup, and made it to the Champions League for the first time ever. Under Bates' tenure, Chelsea established themselves in the Premier League and went from a mid-table team who could put up a fight to a top 6 team, season in, season out. But owner Bates eventually stopped caring for the club. Once again, Chelsea were in debt, and the businessmen wanted to do what he did best: business. This is the moment everything changed. Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich was very interested in buying a football club in England. After witnessing the unforgettable Champions League 4-3 match between Manchester United and Real Madrid, there are many stories as to how and why he picked Chelsea. One claiming he was flying over London in his helicopter, saw Stamford Bridge, and asked his pilot to land there. Another one is that coach Sven-Goran Eriksson met with the Russian, and when he told him he was unsure whether to buy Tottenham or Chelsea, he asked him what his aim was: to win titles. The Swedish manager replied, "Then buy Chelsea. You'll only have to replace half the team. With Spurs, it's the entire squad." Truthfully, original targets Arsenal and Spurs were not for sale at the time, while Chelsea, a London club with history, potential, and a large following, was, once more, drowning in debt. In a never-before-seen move, Abramovich bought the club for a reported $190 million. While the shock of the news was still being absorbed, Chelsea completely dominated the transfer market. More than $190 million was spent bringing in Hernan Crespo, Frank Lampard, Claude Makelele, Veron, Damien Duff, and Wayne Bridge, among many others. Chelsea finished as runners-up. Many would see that as a win, but not Abramovich. The Russian owner always believed football was about entertainment, but also winning. He sacked coach Ranieri and brought in Jose Mourinho.
I'm saying I'm in the champion. I'm not one at the bottom. I think I'm special one.
The Portuguese had shocked European football by winning the Champions League with Porto and was given the club's checkbook. Mo added Didier Drogba, Petr Cech, Arjen Robben, alongside 6 fellow Portuguese players, spending $180 million in the process. Chelsea won 2 Premier League titles in a row.
They want to win.
After him came both experienced and innovative coaches, and record-breaking transfers to continue reshaping the team. Chelsea became a winning club with a competitor's mentality. Abramovich knew only the best would do and kept on investing money in the club at a cost of well over $2.5 billion. In return, 5 Premier League titles have been won, and European success followed. The 2007-2008 UCL final was their first, ending in defeat to Manchester United. Then, in the 2011-2012 season, Chelsea became European champions, a victory they would repeat in 2020-2021. The Blues of London, who were twice on the verge of bankruptcy, are now a powerhouse in world football. A fact confirmed by their latest trophy, the Club World Cup won against Brazilian team Palmeiras. It took the vision of a Russian billionaire, the brilliant minds of coaches such as Jose Mourinho, Vialli, Tuchel, and Ancelotti, and over $2 billion, of course, to make Chelsea a giant in less than 20 years. They might have broken the game along the way, but change was inevitable. And while his name is surely not going to be sung about in the stands of Stamford Bridge, there is a thank you note to be addressed to Ken Bates, the man who bought them for £1 and eventually handed over the reins to Abramovich, saved Chelsea Football Club from disappearing. Now the Blues are on top of the world.